Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest secrets to a successful, peaceful, and purposeful life is the ability to govern yourself. We live in a world where people want to control others, lead nations, build empires, and dominate markets, but the most difficult and most important leadership position is the leadership of self. If you cannot manage yourself, you will never be able to manage anything or anyone else. There are 4 keys that determine whether you live a disciplined, fruitful, and fulfilling life. These 4 are your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind. Whoever controls these 4 controls their destiny. Whoever neglects them becomes a slave to circumstances. First, let us talk about the mouth. Words are seeds. Every word you speak carries life or death. The tongue has the power to build a marriage or destroy it, to raise children with confidence or crush their spirit, to open doors of opportunity or to shut them permanently. Many people have lost jobs not because they lack skill, but because they could not control their speech. Many relationships have ended not because of great crimes, but because of careless words. Your mouth is the steering wheel of your life. If you want to change your direction, change your conversation. If you want to see new results, adjust your vocabulary. Speak life, speak hope, speak vision. Never allow your emotions to put words in your mouth that your future cannot afford to hear. Secondly, your mood. Emotions are wonderful servants, but terrible masters. When you are in charge of your mood, you can remain steady when storms rage around you. When you let your feelings control you, you become like a ship without a rudder, tossed here and there by every wind of circumstance. Many people ruin opportunities because they could not keep their temper. Anger has destroyed families. Bitterness has poisoned friendships. Jealousy has corrupted dreams. Your mood must be trained. You don't have to feel good to do good. You don't have to be happy to be disciplined. You must learn to act on principle, not on impulse. The moment you master your mood, you master consistency, and consistency is the key to excellence. Third, money. Money is a tool, not a master. It is a servant, not a god. Yet how many people live in slavery to it? Some waste it, some worship it, some are wounded by it. Wealth is not measured by how much you have, but by how well you manage what you have. If you cannot govern $1, you will never govern 1 million. Money reveals character. It shows whether you live for purpose or for pleasure, whether you think long-term or short-term, whether you build or whether you consume. Discipline in money is not about stinginess. It is about stewardship. If you treat every coin as a seed, you will plant it wisely, water it carefully, and watch it multiply. But if you treat it as a toy, you will lose it and blame others for your poverty. Remember, the way you manage money determines whether money manages you. Finally, the mind. The greatest battlefield is not in the streets, not in the boardroom, not even in the home. It is in the mind. Your thoughts are architects of your reality. If you think defeat, you will live defeated. If you think possibilities, you will discover opportunities. If you think small, you will stay small. If you think big, your life will expand to the size of your vision. The mind is where faith is built, where hope is nourished, where creativity is birthed, and where peace is guarded. If you leave your mind unprotected, negative voices will occupy it. If you fill it with wisdom, it will produce fruitful decisions. Whatever controls your mind controls your life. So I challenge you today, control your mouth because your words shape your world. Control your mood because your emotions should never dictate your actions. Control your money because it is a servant that must never become a master. And control your mind because it is the seedbed of your destiny. Control your mouth because words create your world. The mouth is one of the smallest parts of the body, yet it carries one of the greatest powers in shaping the course of life. Words are more than sounds. They are containers of life and death, blessing and cursing, peace and conflict. A person's entire future can shift in response to a single sentence spoken in the right or wrong moment. The relationships you enjoy or struggle with today can be traced back to what was spoken yesterday. Words are seeds that never die. They fall into the soil of the hearts of people and into the atmosphere of circumstances. And in due season, they bear fruit. If you plant words of encouragement, hope, and vision, you will eventually reap trust, loyalty, and opportunities. But if you plant words of anger, gossip, and negativity, you will eventually harvest broken trust, closed doors, and regret. This is why controlling the mouth is not about silence, but about discipline. Think about how quickly careless words can destroy years of effort. A business deal can collapse because of a single offensive remark. A marriage can grow cold because of repeated words of disrespect. A child's confidence can shrink because of constant criticism. Once a word leaves your lips, you cannot retrieve it, just as an arrow shot cannot be pulled back midair. That is why you must weigh your words before you release them. The wise pause before they speak, but the foolish rush into speech and regret afterward. A person of influence is one who has learned to measure the weight of words, knowing that every syllable builds or breaks. The mouth is also the instrument of vision. What you continually speak, you eventually believe, and what you believe, you eventually pursue. If you constantly say you are defeated, your mind aligns with defeat, and your actions follow the path of failure. If you declare that you are capable, worthy, and destined for greatness, your mind begins to search for strategies to make those declarations real. Speaking is not just communication, it is creation. Nations are led by speeches, wars are declared by words, peace treaties are signed by words, and revolutions begin with words. To underestimate your mouth is to underestimate your destiny. Control of the mouth also requires control of the heart, for the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. If your inner life is full of bitterness, resentment, and anger, it will inevitably leak out through your tongue. No amount of effort to speak kindly can cover a toxic heart. That is why you must first guard your heart with wisdom and truth, filling it with thoughts of hope, peace, and integrity. A heart filled with light will naturally release words that build. A heart filled with darkness will inevitably release words that destroy. To control your mouth is to first choose carefully what you allow to dwell in your heart and mind. Consider how leaders, parents, teachers, and mentors impact others primarily through words. A single word of affirmation can spark a lifetime of confidence in a young person. A single word of guidance can save someone from years of wandering. But equally, a single word of rejection can wound for decades. Words are remembered long after they are spoken, echoing in the minds of those who heard them. You may forget what you said, but the hearer rarely forgets how your words made them feel. That memory can be either a source of strength or a source of pain. Gossip, lies, and careless jokes may seem harmless in the moment, but they poison both the speaker and the hearer. When you gossip, you destroy trust in yourself, for if you speak ill of one person behind their back, others will assume you will do the same to them. Lies erode credibility until even the truth from your mouth is doubted. Careless jokes can humiliate and alienate, leaving wounds that laughter cannot heal. On the other hand, controlled speech can disarm conflict, restore peace, and build bridges where walls once stood. A kind word spoken at the right moment can soften even the hardest heart. Discipline of the mouth also involves knowing when not to speak. Silence can be more powerful than words. There are moments when responding fuels conflict, but silence starves it. There are moments when withholding your opinion protects relationships more than offering it. There are moments when listening communicates more respect than speaking ever could. Restraint is not weakness, it is wisdom. Your future will largely be determined by what you say today. Words are the building blocks of destiny. If you want to build a life of peace, success, and influence, you must begin by mastering your tongue. Speak life into your vision, hope into your circumstances, and encouragement into the lives of others. Use your mouth not as a weapon, but as an instrument of healing. Recognize that every word has consequences, whether good or bad, and that those consequences will shape your tomorrow as surely as they shape your today. You said control your mood, because emotions must serve principles, not dictate them. Emotions are powerful forces within every human being, and they were designed to help us experience life deeply, but when left unchecked, they can become destructive. Joy, sorrow, anger, fear, excitement, disappointment, these are natural parts of the human experience. But the danger arises when emotions begin to dictate decisions. A person who is led by feelings rather than principles becomes inconsistent, unreliable, and unstable. One day they are full of energy and enthusiasm. The next day they are paralyzed by discouragement. Such inconsistency robs them of discipline, excellence, and long-term achievement. Controlling your mood does not mean denying your emotions, but mastering them so they do not master you. Think about how many opportunities are lost because someone could not manage their mood. Anger has caused people to walk out of jobs they needed, to break relationships that could have been healed, to say things that can never be taken back. Sadness, when left unchecked, has trapped people in depression and paralyzed them from pursuing possibilities. Jealousy has poisoned friendships and destroyed trust. Fear has prevented people from stepping into opportunities that could have changed their lives. Emotions are like fire. When placed in a fireplace, Fire provides warmth and comfort, but when it escapes the fireplace, it burns the entire house down. Similarly, emotions kept under control add richness to life, but when allowed to run wild, they burn down dreams, relationships, and futures. To control your mood, you must first acknowledge that feelings are temporary. Emotions rise and fall like tides. They change with weather, circumstances, and even physical condition. You may feel hopeless in the night, but wake up with fresh hope in the morning. You may feel furious in the heat of the moment, yet calm after a short walk. If you make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings, you will regret them when your emotions shift. That is why principles must anchor you. Principles do not change with mood. They remain constant. Integrity does not depend on whether you feel happy or sad. Discipline does not depend on whether you feel motivated or tired. Love is not measured by how you feel in the moment, but by what you commit to regardless of emotion. When principles govern your life, emotions become followers rather than leaders. Controlling your mood also means not allowing others to manipulate you emotionally. Many people are experts at provoking reactions. They know how to push buttons, stir anger, or trigger insecurity. If you let others control your mood, you hand them the steering wheel of your life. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and you allow that moment to poison your whole day. Someone criticizes you, and you allow their words to control your self-worth. Someone disappoints you, and you allow bitterness to define your future. But when you master your mood, you remain steady in the face of provocation. You choose to respond instead of react, and in that choice lies true power. One of the greatest tests of leadership is emotional control. Leaders face criticism, betrayal, misunderstanding, and pressure, but if they lash out in anger, retreat in fear, or sink in despair, they lose credibility. People do not follow those who are controlled by their moods. They follow those who stand firm regardless of the storm. The same is true in families, workplaces, and friendships. Stability is built by people who refuse to let moods dictate behavior. Emotional maturity means you can feel anger yet choose patience, feel sadness yet choose hope, feel fear yet choose courage. Training your mood requires daily discipline. It involves pausing before reacting, breathing before speaking, and reflecting before deciding. It involves recognizing triggers and refusing to give them power. It involves practicing gratitude when your heart leans toward complaint, practicing forgiveness when your heart leans toward bitterness, practicing calm when your heart leans toward rage. The more you practice, the stronger your control becomes, until eventually moods lose their grip on your life. Even in relationships, controlling your mood is essential. Many marriages have been destroyed not by a lack of love, but by uncontrolled anger. Many friendships have ended not by betrayal, but by impatience and irritability. Many parents have wounded children not by lack of care, but by failing to restrain their temper. When you control your mood, you protect those around you from unnecessary harm. You create an atmosphere of trust, stability, and peace where growth and love can flourish. Your mood also affects your health. Science confirms that chronic anger, stress, and anxiety weaken the immune system, damage the heart, and shorten life expectancy. On the other hand, calmness, joy, and gratitude strengthen the body and promote longevity. Controlling your mood is not only a matter of relationships and decisions, it is also a matter of physical well-being. To live long and strong, you must refuse to be enslaved by destructive emotions. Ultimately, mood must be placed under the authority of purpose. Purpose is bigger than how you feel in the moment. When you live with purpose, you rise above your moods. You wake up and do what needs to be done, not because you feel like it, but because it is aligned with your destiny. Purpose-driven people are not emotionless. They simply refuse to let emotions sabotage destiny. They understand that moods are visitors, but purpose is permanent. By anchoring life to principles and purpose, you place emotions in their rightful position as companions, not captains. You said, control your money because stewardship determines your future. Money is one of the most visible tests of character, discipline, and wisdom. It is not just a means of buying and selling. It is a reflection of priorities, values, and self-control. Many people think money is the answer to all their problems, yet history shows countless examples of those who had wealth, but lost everything because they could not manage it. Having money does not guarantee success. Managing money does. The way you treat the smallest amount in your hand is a preview of how you would handle much more if it came your way. If you are careless with little, you will be careless with much. If you are disciplined with little, you are preparing yourself for abundance. Money itself is not good or evil, it is neutral. It takes on the nature of the person who controls it. In the hands of a wise steward, money builds schools, feeds families, funds dreams, and creates opportunities. In the hands of a fool, money fuels addictions, destroys relationships, and multiplies regrets. This is why stewardship is more important than possession. It is not how much you earn, but how you manage what you earn. Two people can make the same income, yet one ends in debt, while the other prospers, because one lacked discipline and the other applied it. The first principle of controlling money is understanding the difference between needs and wants. Needs are essentials that sustain life and purpose. Food, shelter, education, health. Wants are desires that bring temporary pleasure, but are not necessary for survival or growth. Many people confuse the two and end up drowning in debt, pursuing status symbols to impress others rather than securing stability for themselves. If you buy everything your eyes see, you will lose everything your hands hold. Restraint is the foundation of financial security. By choosing to live within your means today, you create the freedom to expand your means tomorrow. Another aspect of controlling money is saving and investing. Saving is not about hoarding, it is about preparation. Life is unpredictable and unexpected challenges will come. Those who save create a cushion that allows them to face storms without collapsing. Investing, on the other hand, is about multiplication. Money that is left idle depreciates, but money that is wisely invested grows. Investment is not only in businesses or stocks, but also in knowledge, skills, and relationships that bring long-term returns. The wise see money not as something to spend immediately, but as something to plant, expecting a harvest later. The fool sees money only as a toy for today, and has nothing left when tomorrow arrives. Debt is another area where many lose control. Debt in itself is not always evil. It can be used strategically when managed carefully. But uncontrolled debt becomes slavery. When your lifestyle depends on borrowed money, you are no longer free. Every decision is tied to the lender's demand, every dream is delayed by repayments, and every opportunity is suffocated by obligations. To control your money means refusing to live beyond your capacity, refusing to sacrifice tomorrow's freedom for today's illusion. True wealth is not measured by what you owe, but by what you own. Generosity is also a sign of control. Many think giving away money is weakness, but in reality, it is strength. When you can release money for causes greater than yourself, you show that money does not control you. Greed is a sign of bondage. Generosity is a sign of freedom. Those who hoard often lose, but those who give with wisdom often attract more. Money was never meant to be a master, but a servant. When you use it to serve humanity, it brings fulfillment far greater than possessions ever could. Controlling money also requires controlling desires. Advertising, social media, and culture constantly pressure people to spend. The latest fashion, the newest gadget, the flashiest lifestyle, all create the illusion that happiness can be purchased. Yet history proves that joy is never found in accumulation, but in contentment. When you control your desires, you resist the pull of consumerism and focus instead on building a secure foundation. Contentment does not mean lack of ambition. It means being grateful for what you have while wisely pursuing more. Without contentment, no amount of money will ever satisfy. And without discipline, no amount of money will ever last. The legacy of a person is often tied to how they manage money. Some pass down wealth that empowers generations. Others pass down debt that cripples them. Every decision you make with money today echoes into the future of those who come after you. This is why stewardship is not just personal but generational. To control your money is to think not only of yourself but of your children, your family, your community, and the impact you leave behind. Money reveals who you truly are. If you are careless, money will expose it. If you are wise, money will confirm it. If you are selfish, money will magnify it. If you are generous, money will extend it. How you manage money today sets the course for your future tomorrow. It is not about chasing riches, but about mastering stewardship, because only those who control their money are free to pursue true purpose without being enslaved by financial chaos. You said, control your mind because thoughts shape destiny. The mind is the control center of life, the invisible workshop where decisions are formed, beliefs are built, and actions are birthed. Everything that exists in the physical world began first as an idea in the mind of someone who dared to think it. Every invention, every movement, every system, every success story started as a thought. This means that the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life. If your thoughts are small, your life will remain small. If your thoughts are toxic, your life will be filled with chaos. If your thoughts are filled with vision, creativity, and discipline, your life will expand to reflect them. Controlling the mind is therefore the highest form of self-mastery, because whatever controls your thoughts eventually controls your choices, your habits, and your destiny. The mind is a battlefield where voices compete for attention. One voice whispers possibility while another shouts failure. One reminds you of hope while another chains you to fear. If you do not take charge of which voice to listen to, you become a victim of whichever is loudest. Many people are defeated in their minds long before they ever face a challenge. They convince themselves that they cannot win, cannot achieve, cannot rise, and so they do not even try. Failure begins in thought before it appears in reality. On the other hand, victory is also first won in the mind. Those who discipline their thinking to believe in possibilities, to see beyond obstacles, and to envision success create a mental atmosphere where achievement becomes inevitable. Controlling the mind requires guarding what enters it. The human mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seeds are planted will grow. If you feed your mind with negativity, gossip, fear, and doubt, that is exactly what it will produce. If you feed it with wisdom, truth, vision, and inspiration, it will produce innovation, confidence, and strength. This is why what you watch, what you read, who you listen to, and who you surround yourself with matters. Every conversation, every image, every book, every environment plants seeds in your mind. To control your mind is to be intentional about the seeds you allow to enter. Just as you would not allow weeds to overrun a garden you care about, you cannot allow destructive thoughts to overrun the garden of your mind. Another aspect of controlling the mind is the ability to focus. The mind is easily distracted by noise, trends, and endless options. When the mind lacks focus, energy is wasted on things that do not matter, leaving nothing for what truly counts. Great achievements require concentrated thought. The ability to shut out distractions and give undivided attention to a goal is what separates mediocrity from mastery. A controlled mind chooses priorities and refuses to scatter energy across trivial pursuits. Focus is the discipline of the mind to hold firmly to what matters most until it bears fruit. The mind is also the source of perspective. Life does not happen to you, it happens through you, filtered by the way you think about it. Two people can face the same challenge, yet one sees opportunity while the other sees disaster. The difference is not in the circumstance, but in the mindset. A controlled mind interprets setbacks as lessons, sees rejection as redirection, and treats problems as opportunities for growth. An uncontrolled mind magnifies problems, fuels worry, and surrenders to despair. Your experience of life is less about what happens and more about how you think about what happens. Habits are another reflection of the mind. Every repeated action begins as a thought. When the mind repeatedly entertains an idea, it eventually becomes a belief, and that belief shapes behavior. If the mind entertains thoughts of laziness, the body will reflect laziness. If the mind entertains thoughts of discipline, the body will align with discipline. This is why transforming life begins with transforming thought. If you want new results, you must adopt new patterns of thinking, because the mind always leads and the body always follows. Controlling the mind also involves rejecting lies and replacing them with truth. Many live imprisoned by false beliefs they accepted in childhood or through painful experiences. They believe they are unworthy, incapable, or destined for failure, and those beliefs shape their lives. To break free, you must consciously challenge destructive thoughts and replace them with truth that empowers. When the mind is renewed with truth, it becomes free to create, free to dream, and free to pursue destiny without chains of insecurity or fear. Peace of mind is one of the greatest rewards of mental control. An uncontrolled mind is restless, always wandering into worry about tomorrow or regret about yesterday. A controlled mind is anchored in the present, able to focus on what can be done now. Such peace is not the absence of challenges, but the mastery of thought in the midst of them. When you can control your mind, you can remain calm even when circumstances are chaotic, because you understand that your thoughts, not your surroundings, determine your state of being. Ultimately, the mind is the birthplace of destiny. Every great life, every lasting achievement, every significant impact begins with the discipline to control thought. By choosing what to focus on, what to believe, what to reject, and what to cultivate, you shape the invisible foundation on which your future is built. Your life will always rise or fall to the level of your thinking, and controlling your mind ensures that it rises to the level of vision, purpose, and greatness. You said, Self-leadership is the foundation of all leadership. Before a person can effectively lead others, they must first prove that they can lead themselves. The greatest challenge in life is not managing people, organizations, or systems. It is mastering one's own impulses, habits, and weaknesses. If you cannot govern your own life, every position of authority you hold will eventually expose your lack of discipline. True leadership begins within, because the example you set by how you manage yourself speaks louder than any instructions you give to others. People do not follow titles, they follow character, and character is revealed through self-leadership. Self-leadership requires discipline. Discipline is the ability to do what is necessary even when you do not feel like it. Many dream of success, but dreams are useless without the discipline to wake up, work hard, and persist through difficulty. A person who masters themselves rises early when needed, controls their appetites, manages their time, and stays committed when distractions invite them to quit. Without discipline, talent remains wasted potential. With discipline, even ordinary abilities can produce extraordinary results. The world has seen countless gifted individuals who failed because they lacked the discipline to manage themselves. But history also records those of average talent who rose to greatness because they governed themselves with consistency and focus. Another aspect of self-leadership is integrity. Integrity means being whole, consistent, and trustworthy, even when no one is watching. A person who cannot keep promises to themselves will not keep promises to others. A leader who cuts corners in private will eventually be exposed in public. Integrity is not measured in speeches, but in small daily decisions, choosing honesty over lies, responsibility over excuses, excellence over mediocrity. When you practice integrity in leading yourself, you build credibility, and credibility is the currency of leadership. Without it, people may obey you out of fear or obligation, but they will never truly follow you. Self-leadership also involves responsibility. A true leader takes ownership of their actions, their words, and their outcomes. Blaming others for failures, circumstances, or limitations is a sign of immaturity. When you lead yourself, you accept that your future is shaped by your decisions, not by excuses. You recognize that while you cannot always control what happens to you, you can always control how you respond. Responsibility transforms victims into victors. Those who lead themselves do not wait for perfect conditions or external permission. They act with initiative, creating progress even in unfavorable situations. Another crucial element of self-leadership is emotional control. Leaders are often tested by criticism, setbacks, betrayal, and misunderstanding. If you cannot control your emotions, you will be swayed by every storm. Anger will cause you to make reckless decisions. Fear will paralyze your progress. Pride will blind you to correction. But when you master your emotions, you remain steady, rational, and principled regardless of what comes against you. This inner stability inspires trust in others because people find safety in those who are not easily shaken. Vision is another dimension of self-leadership. To lead yourself, you must know where you are going. Without vision, you drift through life, reacting to events rather than directing them. Vision gives clarity, motivation, and direction. It allows you to endure sacrifice today because you see a reward tomorrow. Self-leadership means continually aligning your daily actions with your larger vision, refusing to be distracted by short-term pleasures that compromise long-term purpose. A person with vision cannot be easily missiled because they measure every decision against where they are headed. Time management is also part of self-leadership. Time is the most valuable resource you possess, and unlike money, it cannot be replaced once lost. Those who fail to manage their time fail to manage their lives. Self-leadership requires prioritizing what truly matters, eliminating what is trivial, and dedicating energy to activities that move you closer to your purpose. Procrastination is the enemy of destiny, but discipline with time is its ally. Great leaders are not those who have more hours than others. They are those who lead themselves to use their hours wisely. Another sign of self-leadership is the ability to grow continuously. A person who leads themselves does not wait for others to push them to improve. They take initiative to learn, develop, and evolve. They read, study, listen, and apply knowledge, understanding that growth is a lifelong process. They do not settle in comfort zones because they know stagnation is the beginning of decline. By leading themselves into growth, they remain relevant, effective, and capable of leading others into growth as well. Self-leadership also requires courage. It takes courage to say no to temptations, courage to stand alone when others conform, courage to pursue purpose when fear says retreat, A person who cannot lead themselves into courage will never inspire others to be brave. Leadership demands that you first conquer your own doubts and hesitations, proving to yourself that fear is not the master of your life. When you show that you can face challenges with courage, others will gain strength from your example. Ultimately, self-leadership is about becoming the kind of person you would willingly follow. If you would not trust yourself, respect yourself, or be inspired by yourself, how can you expect others to be? By mastering discipline, integrity, responsibility, emotional control, vision, time growth, and courage, you demonstrate that you are capable of guiding not only your own life, but also the lives of those who look to you. All great leadership flows from self-leadership, because leadership is not first about position, but about example. And the most powerful example you can give is the master of yourself.